Hello, friends. I'm Gabi. I'm a conservation biologist, and for those new people who are watching, this is Breaking Bio, the YouTube channel that promotes diversity in STEM through an interview series with a lot of really exciting, diverse scientists. So, many of you might be wondering kind of what I've been up to in the last week. I know I've kind of spent 1 week with the last couple of weeks with Jennifer going over a lot of different videos and posting a lot of new stuff, and then I went quiet for a bit. I was at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Yay! So that was fantastic. I had a really great time. So I thought it would be fun to kind of just talk about Disney's Animal Kingdom and why I think it's a really great place for promoting conservation. So, just a little history on Disney's Animal Kingdom and me. I went there the year it opened, which was in '98. So I was about 7 years old. Um, so that was actually my Make a Wish trip. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Make a Wish is a program that sends extremely ill kids on vacations or kind of grants a wish that they have. So I was part of that program, and my wish was to go to Africa, specifically Kenya, because working on African conservation issues is something that is pretty much the only thing I ever wanted to do. So of course I said, like, send me to Kenya, and they were like, that's too expensive. What about Orlando? So they sent me to Disney's Animal Kingdom, which was fantastic. I still have pictures of myself like in a wheelchair with like a little like cheetah Mickey hat, and they wanted, like, when we did face painting, they wanted to like make me a tiger or something. I'm like, no, a cheetah, and then corrected them when they didn't make it a cheetah. They made it like a leopard or something. Like, total animal nerd. But yeah, so Disney's Animal Kingdom has a lot of nostalgic value to me. It didn't get me into conservation. I was already kind of like rabidly into wildlife, but it was a really great experience, and I've been back a couple times since then. Um, it's really cool now that I've officially been to Eastern Africa a lot, and then just did a trip to Nepal, where I was working with some school-age children to teach them QGIS, a mapping software. Um, it was really neat because I've been to the two places that they base their Asia land and their Africa land on, which is really cool. And being able to kind of see the similarities between what I've personally experienced going to those countries and what they've designed in terms of the Imagineering work. It's really similar. It's really cool to see those details, like the banyan trees, or how they put Swahili, words everywhere in the Africa section. One of my favorite things that I saw there was really, really cool. So one of my favorite drinks when I'm on continent is the Sparletta drinks. It's this non-alcoholic. It's kind of like a cream soda. It comes in a lot of different flavors. There's one called Sparberry, which is kind of like a weird artificial like raspberry flavor. And then there's like a cream soda flavor, and a lot of other random things, like I think pineapple, which is kind of heinous and like this really gross radioactive yellow. But they're really good. So I love Sparberry. And then as we were going through the queue for their show, Festival of the Lion King, I noticed that like someone had literally like glued a can of spar like Sparberry like on the side of the queue, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So I really enjoy those kind of details, and the fact that they have like baridi, which means cold in Swahili, like on their ice cream trucks. And obviously it's Disney-fied, right? So it's a lot more simplistic than the actual experience that you would get in country, but it was really neat. And yeah, Streetmosphere as usual was awesome. So I got to speak to a few cast members going through some of the animal trails. So they have certain species on animal trails. And it was really neat. I mean, they do a great job. They explained, about the different species there. And you can tell people there are really passionate about what they do. So you may or may not know it, but Disney actually contributes a lot of money to conservation work. So to field conservation work through the Disney Conservation Fund, which is a grant program that people apply to, I personally worked on a couple projects that were Disney Conservation funded, and they are a really great grant partner. So yeah, I mean, I don't always agree with everything that Disney does, but I think in terms of wildlife conservation, they pretty much preach what they practice in terms of their partnerships with, field conservation and other projects as well. So that's actually a really great source of funding to be able to apply to. Yeah, so there's always nostalgia there, but I'm continuously impressed by Animal Kingdom and all the work that the people there do. So I had a fantastic time. So if you do get a chance, and you are on the East Coast and you are in Orlando, definitely check it out. It's a great place to bring kids as well. It's really great at teaching them about wildlife. There's a program there that's free called the I think it's Wilderness Explorers. I think that's after the the group in Up, the animated movie. But there's all these stations around the park that you can go and kind of learn different things, and then bring things back for like badges, to learn about different species. They have all kinds of things. They have like okapis, otters, Komodo dragons, Sumatran tigers. It was really funny though, because like when we went through the Maharaja Jungle Trek, it's clearly modeled after India, and I was like, when we saw the tiger, I was like, she's beautiful, but her face shape is super weird for a Bengal, because it was like extremely round with these really prominent, fluffy cheek pieces, like this little ruff. That was extremely prominent, and I was like, her face is too round. And my friend, who's a programmer, she was like, what do you mean her face is too round? And I'm like, the tiger is wrong. Turns out she's a Sumatran tiger from like Indonesia, but in the India section. Anyway, so like total hipster animal moment. And they do have a ride there called the Kilimanjaro Safari, which is modeled off of kind of a quintessential East African experience safari. And it's actually really cool because they've designed it in such a way that you don't see a lot of boundaries. So you're driving through, you basically sit in the ride vehicle, which is an actual big Jeep-like safari vehicle. And you go through the reserve, which is modeled after, an East African reserve, and you can see a lot of different like plains-dwelling species, interacting with each other. There's a lion section, which, they are, very cleverly blocked off from being anywhere near the car. So, you get to see all these different African animals. And I remember going on it when I was like 7 and just repeatedly going on it. I went on it, I think, like 6, 7, 8 times in a row. I was just like mind blown. And now that I've been, and I've lived in African countries, including in East Africa and Kenya, it was really cool to see how similar that experience is, particularly like when you're going down into the plains area and all you see is kind of this wide open space. It's huge. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Animal Kingdom is like the biggest park at Disney World, is because they have like this huge space, with like acacias and like all this other stuff. But you can't really see the boundaries of it at all. Like, it's not like you're in a zoo and like you see, the boundaries or the enclosures or anything. It's just like this huge wide open space with all these animals. It's really well done. It's very, very, very realistic. So if you can't make it down to Kenya or Tanzania and you want your kid to have that experience, or you want to have that experience, definitely go to Animal Kingdom. Definitely take your time to talk to the cast members. I don't know if they actually have any biological science training, or if they just kind of learn it when they get assigned to that section of the park. But they're very knowledgeable and obviously really passionate about what they do. So yeah, totally recommend it. So that's what I've been doing this last week. Today I'm going to be doing an interview with someone called Dr. Mendez, Dr. Brian Mendez. He is a communications specialist in California who works on astronomy education, which will be really interesting. So we're going to talk about STEM representation in his field, which is astrophysics, and also we're going to be talking about in media, because he is a filmmaker. So we're going to be talking about how people in STEM are portrayed in the media and the impact that has on getting kids, especially, or young people, excited about, being in a STEM field and excited to pursue that as a career and thinking that it's achievable for them. So as we talked a little bit with my last interview with Tyus, of the whole idea of representation. If you don't see someone who you can kind of see yourself in, it's really hard to kind of think, oh, this is a career that I could do. So we're going to be chatting about that in a bit. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon.